Straight ahead on KVRR Sports Extra, Bison basketball team hits the road for the first time this season. Could the Herd find the same success they've had at home? UND Hockey has not had any success lately. Hawks haven't won since October 22nd. Could it change in St. Cloud? And we'll sit down with Kindred football coach Matt Crane, fresh off a Dakota Bowl appearance with the Vikings. KVRR Sports Extra starts right now. Yes, it does. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to KVRR Sports Extra. I'm Mike McCann. NDSU basketball, a perfect 2-0 on the very young season. But hey, it's better than being 0-2. Both Bison wins had come at the Shields Center with a day off in between. This weekend, the Herd goes on the road for the first time, has to play 3 games in 3 days. Game 1 this afternoon featured the Naval Academy. We pick it up early second half. Great ball movement by the Herd. A.J. Jacobson, buckets from distance. That put NDSU up by 7. Let's go under 3 minutes left. It's tied. Kai Cabellis, the sophomore, a little smooch. What do you think, Pat Crowd? Cell phones are interesting. Hey, later, Dexter Werner inside, a little spin move. Maybe he could have just taken it and dunked it, but a short jumper works just fine. Bison have to make some free throws. They do. Hold off the midshipmen 66-59. More college hoops. MSUM on the road at Northern Michigan. The Dragons are going to get a win in game number 1, 104-68, the final behind 23 from Aaron Lean and 24 from Ayub. They'll play again tomorrow. That is against Michigan Tech. There haven't been all that many 6-game winless streaks historically for UND Hockey, let alone the last couple years. But that is the slump in which the Hawks currently sit. North Dakota has not won a game in regulation since October 22nd against Bemidji State. But a win against St. Cloud can go a long way to turning things around. Huskies sit ranked at number 12 in America, UND number 8 in the black jerseys. First period, Tyson Jost, a one-timer. Shane Gersich puts the rebound in. Fighting Hawks up 1-0. Same score in the second. Former Moorhead Spud Will Borgen. He's got a steal, and he is off to the races. Trying to go 5-hole, but Cam Johnson not today. Later, it's 3-0 in the period. Jost now streaking down the side. Gersich between the circles. Bang. That's a hat trick. UND leads 4-0 in the third period. Big series for the 9th-ranked UND women. Hawks home for the 2nd-ranked Gophers. It is technically a final in overtime, but UND did win a shootout 2-1, so a good kind of win for the Hawks there. Series wraps up tomorrow at 4:07. Minnesota high school football made it really cool to be a solid team this year, giving semifinal teams an opportunity to play at US Bank Stadium. But when you get to that point, it is, of course, nice to play in the new Vikings digs, but you're also concerned with winning, because one more W in the semis, you earn a berth to play for the elusive state championship, something a few local teams were in search of this morning. But both those area teams had a tough time. Barnesville was right with Caledonia early, but then the Warriors flexed, ran away with the 2A semis in a 55-20 win. Waubun never could get it going against Grand Meadows. Superlarks win 35-0. Barnesville finishes the year 11-1. Waubun 12-1. College football, it is the last college football Saturday of the regular season. We have KVRR Sports' Keith Albertson with us. Keith, we're going to start with the Bison. They learned a tough lesson last year playing South Dakota, and that's you can't look past anyone.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to be an issue for them coming into this matchup because it's their last game of the regular season. They know that this is the game standing between them and a Missouri Valley Football Conference title, which is their goal all season. It's been their goal every season. Even when they are winning national titles, they want to win the conference, and when there's just one game in the way,
yeah.
I think they're gonna be just fine.
On the road at the Dakota Dome, the last time they were there, they did win. That was a couple of years ago. Now, UND is not playing a game this weekend. The Fighting Hawks had the kind of weird scheduling thing where their bye was at the end. They've won 9 straight games. We can't really preview a game if there isn't one, so we're going to play a little game here. We're going to give the cases why UND should get a first-round bye, be a top 8 seed in the FCS playoffs, and why they should not. Keith, let's start with why.
Well, first off, it's impressive for UND that this is the conversation. Should they get a first-round bye instead of should they be in the playoffs? Because we remember what happened last year after they went 7-4. But the case for them getting a first-round bye comes with the 9-game winning streak. Yeah, they had those 2 losses at the beginning of the season, but they bounced back incredibly well and are one of the hottest teams in all of FCS. They are 9-2 on the year, and they're winning on the road, which not a lot of teams can do, especially in the Big Sky Conference, which is one of the toughest conferences in the FCS.
And one of those losses, of course, an FBS loss to Bowling Green, a game that they could have won if not going for the two-point conversion. We remember that one. Okay, why shouldn't they get one?
Well, Bowling Green, you touched on it. We looked at that loss at the beginning of the year as an FCS team, or an FBS team, excuse me, that really UND had a chance to win, but it turns out that that Bowling Green was not actually very good. They only have 3 wins on the year, including that one against UND, 2 other wins against Kent State and Akron. So that loss isn't a very good one. And then when you look at Stony Brook, that loss isn't a very good one either, because Stony Brook was ranked at the time, but is now 5-5 on the year. So when you look at some of the other teams and the other games that some of the teams above UND they have marquee wins. UND doesn't necessarily have any of those marquee wins, which could be held against them.
The only downside, I suppose, of looking at that schedule, we've said it all year, no Montana, no Eastern Washington. Well, the other side of that is that you don't get a chance to beat those teams, which they didn't. You'll take the 9-2 record, though, I think, all day. And like you said, they're in the playoffs. There's no question. There's no worry for the Fighting Hawks after last year. Keith touched on it, where they felt they were snubbed. They probably were snubbed. They won't be snubbed this year. They have had an incredible season. Big Sky champions. Coach Bubba Schweigert's talked about that since he got to Grand Forks. That's the goal for UND. Win the Big Sky, find a way to do that. And then this week, of course, he talked about that next goal, trying to win a national championship.
I'm sure they're happy to finally have a break after all of that play.
Of course. Now back on the Bison, the Herd will kick things off tomorrow at 2 o'clock in Vermilion. Again, USD 4-6 on the year. It's a new coach, Bob Nielsen, in his first year over from Western Illinois. And the Herd lost to this team last year. Will they do it again? Not likely. We'll find out tomorrow. Now, as for Sunday, you can watch the selection show at 10 a.m. in the morning. It is on ESPNU. Where will NDSU be? The last playoff rankings had them at number 1. Where will UND be? Find it out on Sunday morning. We'll have a reaction on KVR, our local news at 9. In the high school game, what a year for Kindred and head coach Matt Crane. What is the third-year Vikings coach saying about his team's season? He'll join us next. And KVR, our Sports Extra rolls on. What a season for Matt Crane and the Kindred Vikings football team. Vikes did not win a state championship, but that doesn't mean they didn't accomplish a whole lot. Coach Crane took the Blue and White to their first ever Dakota Bowl, where they unfortunately ran into Bismarck St. Mary's. But that should not damper what was a great run, which included an incredible comeback in the state semis. The Alaska native joined us to talk about that and more. Coach, just finished year 3. Obviously, you guys had the most successful season you've had since you've been there, state runners-up against Bismarck St. Mary's. What will stand out to you when you think about this season? What is the biggest thing that stands out in your mind?
The biggest thing for me is just it was a fantastic year full of kids that just never gave up. You know, I mean, we fought through a couple of really hard games at the end of the season there, and you know, especially the semifinals game against Shanley. It looked, you know, pretty rough for us, and came back and ended up winning that game, and getting to the state championship was pretty special. Let's
talk about that Shanley game. Then obviously you guys are down, I think it was 29-7 at the break, and on paper that's over, especially at Sid Cichy against them, the success they've had. What do you say to your group at halftime of that game?
Halftime of the game, you know, I went in and basically just told them, hey, you know, if you don't think we're going to come back and win the game, I wanted them to leave. I said, you know, it's going to be a special comeback, and to be part of it's going to be something we'll remember forever, and you just got to believe in it. And they bought in and battled and scratched and clawed all the way back to winning that game at the last second. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was obviously a photo finish, to say the least. You go to the Dakota Bowl. Obviously, Bismarck St. Mary's, we were just talking about it off camera. They're very good. They've won 3 of 4. Do you sense that your team, particularly the young guys, they learn anything throughout that experience?
I think it's huge for our program to get to that level. We've never been to the state championship game, and we have a really good crew of young guys, sophomores, juniors, and freshmen, really big freshman class. And to get them to that level and to show them that we are very capable of getting to that level is a big thing for our program.
On the program, you're saying goodbye to not the biggest senior class of all time, but a very valuable one. You think about Ethan Lingen and what you had at wide receiver, whether it be Brock Benson or anybody else. What did that class mean to you?
They're phenomenal. I mean, they're as good on the field, off the field as they are on. I mean, they're great kids, great character kids. They work their tails off in the off season trying to get to where we got to this year, and great leaders. I'd go to bat for every one of them. I think they're just awesome young men.
You guys are affected in your mind, whether it's good or bad, by the realignment that's about to occur next year. Going down to Class A, what's that do for you?
Well, we have some different opponents. We won't play, the Shanleys anymore, Wapton, and things like that. But we'll play some very good football teams. We'll have defending state champions in our region. EEK got a chance to watch them a little bit, and they look fantastic. So there's going to be a lot of talented football to be played at that level, but we're looking forward to it. What
do you have to do this offseason to take another step forward?
It's going to be a different year. Different kids. We're going to have a new identity. We lose a lot of our talented skill guys, but we return 4 out of 5 linemen on the offensive line. So that'll be big for us. If we can get in the weight room, continue to grow, develop some of those younger guys, I think we'll be all right.
Okay, Alaska native.
Yeah.
What's football like in Alaska?
It's awesome. It's cold.
Yeah. Run the ball?
Yeah. A lot of running, and a lot like North Dakota, I guess. It's gets a little chilly, but there's some good football up there too.
Going back to this year's team and into the future, what was the community response like for your run?
It's fantastic. Kindred, the town and the town surrounding it are just full of a lot of really, really passionate people, and to be able to get to where we were, I've had nothing but support since I've been there. The fans have been awesome. When we got to the Dakota Bowl, there was a lot of white in the stands, and that just is a testament to them.
Has it hit you yet that you were able to get to that point?
It's still a little bit surreal, but it was a whole lot of fun being down there on the field, and obviously didn't go the way we wanted it to. We would have liked to put a little bit better product on the field that day, but to get there was awesome. And I tell the boys all the time, remember the journey, and it was a great journey.
Coach Matt Crane, Kindred High School football Vikings coming off a state finals appearance. See what next year holds, Coach. Thank you for taking some time. We wish you the best of luck next year.
Well, thank you for having me.
Speaking of coaching, Chris Klieman, pretty darn good one on the sideline for NDSU football. He's got some company that he knows pretty well. Now, an encore presentation of like father, like son, and someone learning on the sideline from his dad. A lot of high school seniors dream of getting away from mom and dad and living a life of freedom as a college freshman. For one NDSU student manager, the opposite is true.
Being at home with Mom, Haley, and Colby, I didn't see him much during the football season, and now it's a privilege to see him every day, and makes my mom a little jealous a little bit, but I've really enjoyed it.
Him is Devin Klieman's dad, third-year NDSU football coach Chris Klieman, and now Devin's boss.
For me, it's great. I didn't get a great opportunity to see him a bunch his senior year. I'd go to the football games, but in the evenings I didn't get an opportunity to see him much.
The younger Klieman was a standout defensive back at Shanley.
Devin Klieman with the pick six for the Geeky touchdown!
But when not a lot of schools showed interest in Devin as a player, he made the choice to stay around the game and to hang out with Dad.
I thought I was really close to my dad already, and I kind of understand what he goes through on a daily basis more now. I thought I knew, but seeing it every day, I guess I learned more about what he does.
Now the real work is underway.
Hi, baby Dom.
Take us through a normal day for you.
Normal day, I of course go to class, but I show up probably around 3, and I work for Nate, so I usually listen to whatever we have going on that day and then get ready for practice, throw a couple balls to the defensive backs, and help out during team.
So in other words, Devin is busy all the time, but it doesn't go unnoticed.
They're spotting balls, they're helping out with drills, they're setting drills up, they're taking things down, things that sometimes as coaches we take for granted. I know how hard these guys are working.
It's not like the student managers just stand on the sideline and get a free trip to Frisco, but they are college kids. And like any college kid should, Devin is thinking about his future, a future that he hopes ends like his dad as a coach.
In my opinion, it might be a little biased. I think this is the best coaching staff in America, and with the success they've had, I wouldn't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, he's got a jump start on a lot of people, whether you're playing the game or just being around the game and being around the great mentors we have on our staff, and our staff treats Devin so well, and they challenge him too, and that's what Devin needs.
And that's more than just Dad's opinion.
It's kind of in his blood, you know. Coach Klieman's just such a good coach, and he's out there with the guys every day. He sees what it's like, so I think once he's out there a little more, I think he definitely would have it in him.
Just because they share the father-son bond, that doesn't mean there's preferential treatment.
Trey Dempsey's a great example. I give Trey grief about, hey, are you going to class? You getting your grades in? I was like, Trey, I've got another kid here. I don't need to have a second. You know, and Devin is that, and Devin will laugh and say, well, you treat me just like you do the other players. I hold him accountable, just like I'm holding Trey Dempsey accountable.
Yet at the end of the day, the Klieman boys are like any other father-son combo.
It's neat every time you have the opportunity to spend a little bit more time with your son while you're at work, because in our job, it is a 24/7 job, and the opportunities we have to spend with our Bison family or with our immediate personal family is so gratifying.
A family atmosphere, something Devin says he wouldn't change.
I love it. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing right now.
High school volleyball-wise, the North Dakota semifinals are rolling along at the Fargo Dome, who punched their ticket to the state championship. That's next on KVRR Sports Extra. The North Dakota State volleyball tournament got off to a good start yesterday at the Fargo Dome, but it gets even more real each day of the weekend. There were just 4 teams remaining when the day began in both Class A and Class B, and by the end of the night, that number is shrinking to 2. In the Class A semis, Bismarck Century looking to return to a familiar place. That's the title game. Shanley looking for the upset. First set, Hannah Schwartz. Ace, baby. Clinches the first for Century. Into the second set, Julia Vetter sets up Kara Berg. Sends an absolute rocket over the net. That one's not coming back. Shanley takes the second set, but that was as close as it would get. Caitlin Selensky, that's a spike. Century inching closer to the W, and they were going to get it. Reagan Dennis sends it over. It goes flying to the scores table. Patriots heading back to the Class A title game. 3-1 is the final. The other semifinal in Class A, Bismarck High and Bismarck Legacy. That is actually a 2-1 lead now in the fourth. Championship in Class A set to go tomorrow at 8 o'clock. In Class B, Lemoore looking for a trip back into the title game. They'd have to get past Langdon area Munich first. First set, Langdon sets up Madison Hartz. Fires it at the feet of Anna Holland. It gets down for a point. Langdon takes set number 1. Set 2, Holland. How about a little revenge? Lobos set up the sophomore. Her return too hot to handle. The Lobos tie it up at a set apiece. Fast forward set number 4. Lobos rolling. Rachel Hill stuffed at the net by Kendra Hamlin. Later in the set, Hart sends it wide. Lemoore goes on to win 3-1. They advance to the Class B title game. The other semifinal in Class B between the Kindred Vikings and our Redeemers. And it's the Knights advancing to the title. They win it in straight sets, 3-0. Class B final set for tomorrow at 6 o'clock. College volleyball, Big Sky semis, UND and Idaho State for the right to the title game. Fighting Hawks up in the first and staying up. Sydney Griffin sets up Faith Dooley. Thank you, come again. Hawks +4 early, then set point in the first. If you leave it up for Griffin, she's going to do that. Conference MVP ends the first. Second set, more of the same. Set point UND again. This time it's Dooley. Almost meet the parents, that poor girl. If you don't know it, look it up. UND 1 win away from the NCAA tourney. Hawks win in straight sets, 3-0. More college volleyball. Summit League tournaments. Quarters between the Bison and IUPUI. It is in the third set. NDSU leading in the third set, but 1-1 overall in the match. If the Herd can win it, they will battle South Dakota tomorrow in the semis. They are the best that the week in high school sports has to offer. The nominees for the American Family Insurance High School Play of the Week after the final break on KVRR Sports Extra. The nominees for the American Family Insurance High School Play of the Week are brought to you by AmFam agent Trevor Silbernagel and feature a duo in the Dome that was just balling out. Both guys with huge days, both guys with scores on the play. Nominee number 1, Thompson quarterback Kalen Schwabe. He's loose on the option, space, and now hyperspeed. The whole play itself took like 20 seconds. Sorry, Kalen, we got a deadline. You got to go faster. What a run in the Tommies' first ever state title. Or is it EEK's Clayton Grunike, who kept a monster day at the office, just shredding tackles. Both are good. Which is better? It's up for you to decide, which you can do right now at our website, kvrr.com. Just click on the sports page. The poll is up on the right side. Schwabe or Grunike, both are state champs. but only one will win this competition. The American Family Insurance High School Play of the Week nominees brought to you by AmFam agent Trevor Silbernagel. Voting ends at 2:30 Monday. We'll announce the winner then. That does it for another live edition of KVRR Sports Extra. You missed any of the show, head to our website, kvrr.com, and the KVRR app. UND and St. Cloud is a final. 4-0, the Fighting Hawks get the W. They now will go for their first sweep at the National Hockey Center since Bill Clinton occupied the White House, 1998. Thanks to Kindred football coach Matt Crane for joining us in studio. Of course, to you at home for watching. I'm Mike McCann. Have a good night.